Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to jump into the Traveler Core Rulebook 2022 update, and we're going to look at Boon and Bane dice. It's something that when I did my video of how I run Traveler a few years ago, I said I don't use Boon and Bane dice. Well, I've since rethought it. So I thought I'd go over it here and talk a little bit about how I use them and if they're useful or not. Let's take a look. Also, just a quick announcement on Saturday, February 15th at 9 a.m., I will be at Polar Vortex in Lisle, Illinois. It's a small gaming convention, and I will be running Traveler. I have a 6-person space waiting for me. There is a fee to get into the convention itself. It's a small convention, but it's fun. I like it. I went last year, enjoyed myself. But there's a fee to get in. I think it's $25 to get into the gaming areas, and then my event is, I think, $2, the lowest I could charge on it. So if you are in the area and you are so inclined to come to Polar Vortex on Saturday, February 15th, 9 a.m., I will be sitting at a table with, I hope, 5 other Traveler people and you, and we'll be playing a game. So we have room for 6 people to play, plus myself, so 7 of us total. And it's the way I described it when I submitted my event was the travelers will be aboard their starship, getting a cargo, and going to sell the cargo, and adventure ensues. So it's going to be straight up Traveler, no ancients, no funky stuff, anything like that. It's going to be Traveler of the old flavor, but with the current rules. So hopefully you can make it. I'll attach a link to Polar Vortex. And now, quick note, my event has not populated on their site yet. I just got approved a few days ago, so it's taking a little bit of time. But I'll put the site up. You can take a look at Polar Vortex, see if it's something you're interested in. The $25 that you pay gets you all day Saturday attendance. There's a weekend pass also. All the info will be in the link. And once you're done with my game, you can go ahead and go to other games. Or there's lots of stuff. There's free play areas where you just sit down and play. It's a fun event. I went last year just as a viewer pass, which I think cost me $2. And I had a lot of fun. I spent about 8 hours there and just really enjoyed myself. So that's it. I'll just let you know about Polar Vortex as it gets closer. I will mention other videos, and when my event gets posted on their calendar, I will let you know that too. But back to this today, out of the 2022 Core Rulebook update, we're going to be taking a look at Boon and Bane dice. When I first started playing Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition, I was still very much of the old Traveler, the original rules, and how that was done. So I kind of mixed the two when I first started. And it was evident in the way I ran games and some of the things I used and didn't use from the new set. One of the things I did choose to not use initially were Boon and Bane dice. So I'm going to explain what they are, and then go through and show what I do and don't, what I use and don't use about them. So here we go. Boon and Bane. The task difficulty level allows a referee to pre-plan the skill and characteristic checks. Travelers will need to succeed during an adventure. However, there will likely be situations that arise that will make things either easier or harder for the travelers. This is where Boons and Banes come in. If a traveler has help such as good tools, competent aids, or other beneficial circumstances, they receive a boon. This means they roll an extra dice 6, during a check and discard the lowest of the 3. If a traveler is hindered in a check, such as with poor tools, a dimly lit environment, or other negative circumstances, they receive a bane. This means they roll an extra dice during the check and discard the highest. So boon is good, bane is bad, of course. A traveler can only be under the influence of one boon or bane during any one check. If they receive both a boon and a bane for the same check, they cancel out and no extra dice are rolled. At the same time, if they receive multiple boons or banes, they're only subject to one. So what does that mean exactly? Well, it means that if I have a good, clean operating room and I'm a medic 4 doctor and I'm going to do surgery and I have competent help with me and everything is exactly as it should be, then I, as the GM, I would give a boon dice to that because you've got the best setup that you can, the best chance for success. If, on the other hand, I'm in a falling apart ruin and I'm trying to keep somebody alive through a quick and dirty surgery, then that would be a Bane dice. A Boon dice could also be if I have an optimal shot at somebody not terribly distant, they're not aware I'm there, I'm basically sniping them, I might give a Boon dice for that. On the other hand, if I'm under heavy fire and I'm trying to fire back and it's really heavy fire, then I would be subject, in my opinion, at my table, you'd be subject to a Bane dice. Now, I am very, very sparing with Boon or Bane dice. I don't assign them lightly or even all that often. Maybe one or two in a session would be notable for me, simply because I'd rather move the difficulty, which the chart is right here. I'd rather just move the difficulty. So an average difficulty is 8 up, and that is on 2 dice 6 with all your skills added in. So my medic 4, and maybe I'm a really dexterous individual and I've got a +1 on top of that, and I, as the GM's, the GM says, yeah, go ahead, you get that too. So that'd be a +5. So I have to roll an 8 or higher with my bonuses. So I need to roll a 3 and then add my 5 bonuses, and I would succeed. So the target number is really where I, as the GM, will go more than to Boon or Bane dice. Now, you can certainly do both. You can make something that's difficult, you can give it a Boon dice, so you have to roll a 10 up, but they get that third die, and they can go ahead and they can get a benefit from the Boon dice and maybe have a better chance of succeeding. Or conversely, it's a very difficult thing. It's a difficult thing, and you're hip deep in water, and you're trying to get out of the way of a charging creature. Then maybe I get a Bane die for my dodge. It's all in the circumstances, and it's all in how your GM wants to do it. And that's really what I wanted to talk about. Was Boon and Bane are incredibly situational, much more situational than even the difficulty rating at my table anyway, and should be used as such. So if I give out a Boon die, it's a pretty big deal. My players, I've only used them for the last session or two, and my players are pretty happy when they get a Boon dice, or unhappy when they get a Bane dice, but they know it's rare. It's not something I'm going to be jumping into all the time. And I think that's important too. It's not really called out in the book, no tip as to when you should give a Boon or a Bane dice, just that you can give it. And I feel that you should give it only under pretty extreme circumstances, either good or bad. It's just how I feel. Otherwise, I think it's just better to move the difficulty level and keep everything else the same as you have it. So somebody's taking that incredibly difficult shot I described a little while ago, and I've decided it's a very difficult shot at a 12 up. I'm not going to give a Bane dice to that. 12 up is, I've moved it already from average, past difficult to very difficult, 12 up, and now I've got my gun combat skill and my dexterity. Let's see, they say they equal 4. So my very difficult shot, 12 up, my minimum roll on my 2 dice is an 8. If I throw a Boon dice in there, then I'm giving it a little bit better, but that might not be indicated in the circumstances. So that's kind of what I wanted to say. I've started using Boon and Bane. I use them sparingly. I don't think they should be a main thing to drive your campaign. I think it should be something that you give out once in a while to reward really competent thinking, good planning on the players, or to kind of wake your players up a little bit when they go into something half-cocked with poor planning. You hit them with a Bane die, and then they go, whoops, okay, I don't want that to happen again. Now, that being said, if it's a Boon die, I'm throwing 3 dice, keeping the highest 2. I've still seen that come up as a roll of like 4. A 1 and 2 2s. That's easy to do on die 6. And the same with the Bane dice, where you discard the highest. You could have a 6, a 3, and a 1. You're throwing away the 6 for the Bane dice. Your result is a 4. So it can be interesting, and it can be unimportant. You could, under a Bane dice, you could throw a 3 2 1. You're throwing out the 3, the 2 and the 1 remain. You would have failed even with all 3 dice added up, which of course you never do. So that's just my thinking on Boon and Bane. I do like them now. I've evolved my gaming a little bit, and I'm actually kind of pleased with myself because I've been doing this forever, and my original attitude when I came into Mongoose Traveler 2nd was, wow me. Show me what I can do better as a GM and things like that. And Mongoose has. Mongoose has impressed me with the quality of their books. And frankly, I like the rules. There are a few rules that I throw out or otherwise tweak, but for the most part, I really enjoy what Mongoose has been putting out for the last few years. So That's it. That's all I'm saying. Boon and Bane dice. Let me know what you think, how you use them. Do you use them more frequently than I do? Maybe I'm too stingy with them. Let me know. Also, please take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. And comment, like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Tell your friends. And also don't forget about Polar Vortex on February 15th. Take a look at the link below. And as I said, as soon as my event gets listed up, I'll go ahead and I'll post the actual link to my event. There are only 6 seats available at mine. And I'm looking forward to playing some Traveler. So that's it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Page 121.